Hello. How is everyone doing? Let me make sure this is still working. Hello? Yeah. Awesome. Sorry about Tuesday. I forgot what I had pre-existing plans, so I had to end stream. I didn't even get to an hour. So we're going to try to make this a pretty long stream to make up for that. I was gonna stream yesterday, but I've had to deal with... I hate these dogs so much. Just... they piss me off to no end. I didn't even want to babysit. Didn't want a dog sit. But... had to clean this room, and it still is not clean, and I don't know what's the issue. I might just have to toss a bunch of this stuff and rebuy things, because I do not know. And if you hear the door open and close, it's because the window is open to help air out this room. But anyway, as always, check out my art shop. Link is in the chat this time. And in the description. Like I said last week, this game is free. Try it out for yourself. For an Otome game, I actually am enjoying this. Like, they've written these characters very well, I think. And the options are at least, like, something you would physically decide to say to someone, instead of some Otome games are like all the options are nothing you would have ever said. But anyway, I guess we'll just jump right in. Oh yes, we were being kind of stupid, and now we have to decide, are we fighting these knights or trying to convince them to let me go? Are we fighting or convincing? I think I don't think we'll be able to fight multiple knights. Like, at least when we were just fighting our one kidnapper, we had a chance. I don't think we have a chance with multiple knights, so let's try convincing them. Fighting back is useless when I'm outnumbered. I have to try convincing them that I'm not who they think I am. You're mistaken, sirs. I happened to overhear your conversation, and assuming I am some imaginary princess is unreasonable. The knights look at each other. You know, she has a point. She was listening in our conversation. That's clearly suspicious. Did you not hear what I just said? I happened to overhear it, nothing more. You were cloaked, as if you were trying to hide your features. Being out at night without a cloak is a sure way to draw attention to a lady such as myself. You know, she has a point. Stop saying that, man. Then, ma'am, there should be no problem with us taking you back to the palace. If we are mistaken, we'll clear up the misunderstanding and pay you handsomely. Come on, let's take her to the palace. Well, that didn't work, but I don't think fighting was gonna work either. The knights led me out into the empty streets. Why? Why did I have to be so stubborn? Because that's who you've been since the beginning. Give me a sec. The knights continue pulling me down the path until we come to a narrow street. Everyone who sees us walks away to avoid the knights. There is fear in their eyes. But I have done nothing wrong. Ma'am, if it makes you feel any better, we're risking our rank on this as well. That doesn't make me feel any better. I don't know. I'm suspicious of... Who goes there? I look up and notice Karma's familiar figure walking towards us. What is he doing here, and why isn't he in his disguise? Gentlemen, I ask you to unhand that woman. As a knight, I would be ashamed to be seen treating a lady so terribly. And who are you? Her husband. His what? Unhand her, gentlemen, or taste my blade. Sir, we were just going to take her to the palace too. I will give you on the count of 3. One knight keeps his grip on me as the other draws his sword. I stare at Karma, who continues to count through the knights attack. Though the knights attack him before his sword leaves his sheath. Karma and the knight trade blows, but it is Karma that comes out victorious. His blade slices past the knight's shoulder, distracting him enough to give Karma the opening he needs. Karma reaches back with his free hand to knock the knight out with a blow to the head. It might just be my imagination, but for a moment I think I see the knight's blade glimmer across the surface of Karma's hand before he falls. Glimmer across the surface. I don't think I've ever heard anyone call getting cut that way. The knight holding me holds up his hands in surrender. I yield, sir. It seems no matter how the situation turns out, you are dishonorable. Please, sir. Karma knocks him out and then stands behind me as he sheathes his sword. Karma, a few moments, Lucetta. Karma spends some time focusing a potion from a vial down each of the knights' throats. I watch him quietly, fearing that he might have killed them, but the knights only seem to be asleep. A potion that Parfait gave me, it will make the men forget they ever saw you. So everyone knows we left the tavern. When Karma stands again, I notice the glimmer of blood on his hand and stare. You're hurt. It's nothing. I am sorry. If you were sorry, you wouldn't have gone out. Come on, princess, let's go back. He pulls me right onto the main street and does not let go of my hand. I cannot bring myself to speak. Karma has saved me twice now. Not only that, but this time he is injured. He says it's nothing, but his bloody hand does not move at all. Probably so he doesn't get blood everywhere. Blood's a pain to get out. Why do I have to be so stubborn and insist I can handle myself? I do not speak for a long time. Eventually, I notice people start to stare. Though before long, the staring grows worse. Young women begin following us, giggling from behind. I turn to Karma, who looks like he hasn't slept in days. Does this curse work on, young children too? These people look very young in front. Karma. Sorry, princess, but I'm not in the mood to talk. Those girls are walking behind us. This is his curse? Karma. Lucetta, I just said I'm not in the mood to talk. Did you not hear me? We are being followed. He stares behind us almost stupidly and then laughs hollowly when the girls see his face. They start to rush towards us, their voices rising and blending together into horrendous cacophony. Karma is not moving though. He looks resigned. Maybe he is too tired to realize what he wants to do. I tighten my grip on Karma's hand and pull him away, my pace quickening to a run as the girls chase after us, screaming at me angrily for taking Karma away from them. How many people are actually on the street this late at night? Lucetta, what are you doing? Getting us out of here. Lucetta. I lead him through the town and into little nooks and crannies where we manage to lose some of the crowd. Karma often leads me through some of these spaces as shortcuts. Waltz knows them too. Once we are alone again, I stop, falling to my knees and letting go of Karma's hand as I catch my breath. That really was a curse, having to run away from so many mindless women. That was difficult. Lucetta. What? I did not mean to snap, but the tiredness is pressing on me too. You helped me out of there. Of course I did. Why would I want to be chased by girls? You could have left me behind and gone on alone. Instead, you helped me. You helped me too. I guess I paid you back. Though, to be honest, I wasn't even thinking about repaying him for saving me. I just knew that I didn't want Karma to be stuck trying to fend off those girls. He was right about his curse. This is terrible. I just realized something. Karma kneels down beside me and waits for me to speak. My curse has people forget me, and yours has even strangers become infatuated with you. It's almost like our curses are opposite of each other, and yet we seem so similar. My eyes widen when I realize what I just said. We are similar, aren't we? He holds out his good hand to me, and I let him lead me back to the tavern through the abandoned alleyways. My feet are heavy, and all I want to do is sleep, but suddenly Karma is standing before me, his face grave. Lucetta, I have to thank you for helping me earlier. I'm sorry I froze like that and made it more difficult on you. It was so sudden, and I was so tired I had no motivation to move. Shouldn't I be thanking you? I'll accept your thanks, even though I wish you didn't have to thank me in the first place. You should not have gone out on your own when you knew how dangerous it could be for you. I am sorry. I'll accept your apology too, but I've lost sleep over this. I have no words for how I feel right now, Princess. Karma reaches for my hand again, and this time he holds it up and kisses the back of it. Suddenly, all my tiredness falls away. You really are a handful. But a delightful handful. I'm going to bandage this hand and then rest. We'll speak later about all of this, okay? But the bleeding stopped on its own, Lucetta, but it does need to be treated. Don't worry, it'll be fine. Are you sure? As sure as I can be. I don't lie, not even for the sake of a pretty lady. Karma lets my hand go as soon as we enter the march-in and then bows politely to me before heading back to his room. I watch him go, my mind whirling. Does he usually kiss women's hands? No, I don't think so. Did we gain a... Oh, new chapter. Did we finally gain a piece of our slipper? You really are a handful, but a delightful handful. His words keep replaying in my head. I cannot stop hearing his voice and feeling of his lips on my hand. My face feels warm, and every time I think about his words, my heartbeat feels unsteady. I really have to stop thinking about that. Karma is karma, and he puts on that overly polite act with everyone. But then I am pretty sure I have never seen him do something like that with another person. Considering there's also not many females in the tavern that are cursed. At least that we know of. I think most of them are males. I'll just go downstairs and stop thinking about all of this. I need to tell Parfait and Delora what happened. Because of the time I'd returned to the march-in yesterday, I never spoke to anyone about what happened. Maybe someone's downstairs. Someone usually is. I leave my room and make my way downstairs to the reception. It is quiet when I enter, but not as quiet as I thought it would be. Karma is sitting at one of the tables speaking quietly with Parfait and Delora. His injured hand is sitting on the table bandaged. I cannot help but stare at it, my heart plummeting. His injury is my fault. So you have yet to hear the entire story? No, I'm afraid I'm not quite privy to the information Waltz has. Is that correct? Waltz has been directly involved in this far longer than you have. What about Waltz? Yeah, what about Waltz? I thought you guys would be talking about the, witch. Princess, you're up early. They all turn to look at me as I stand at the table. Karma still looks tired, but is not in his dress. He looks somber, but still smiles at me. Lucetta, how nice of you to join us. When did he start saying my name without my title? Lucetta, you've run into a lot of difficult mishaps this week, haven't you? I thought you would be stubbornly avoiding work. Instead, you go out of your way to get yourself into trouble. This involves me directly. How could I not be curious? You've also been irresponsible, sneaking out without any of us knowing. I have the freedom to do whatever I want to. I even wore a cloak too. Oh no, the cloak. I left it at the bar. I feel the nudge at my arm, and Karma is holding out my cloak with a tired smile. You went back to get this? When? Yesterday, when you were still in bed. You've been running yourself dry these last few days, Karma. It's nothing. Thank you. What's this? Our ice princess is thanking someone? Why is that something so strange? Oh, come now. She's not so icy. Lucetta is more fire than anything. She's filled with unbridled passion and confidence. Confidence has gotten me nowhere so far. Don't look so dour, Lucetta. You've become quite the accomplished woman. Karma gestures towards me, and I flush, unsure what he is talking about. Then I notice Delora eyes on me, too. Oh, Parfait, do you see that? What are they looking at? I reach down to grab my necklace and then pause. I cannot stop the gasp that leaves my lips. We finally have a piece. Look how ugly our necklace is. When did this happen? Princess, you didn't realize that there was an extra piece to your necklace? Congratulations, Princess Lucetta. You're a step closer to breaking your curse. I feel proud. I only ever felt this way around Mother. She did me a great favor yesterday. If not for Lucetta, I might have suffocated beneath a pile of very exciting women. Wait, helping Karma escape was a good deed? She was selfless. He's not even mentioning the injury he got protecting me. Parfait and Delora are both smiling, but the cheerful mood does not last long. What were you all talking about before I came down? About your kidnapping? Well, kidnappings, both of them. It looks like we have a serious problem on our hands. What do you know about this? What does Waltz know that I don't? Princess, it's more about what everyone else knows that you don't. What everyone else knows? I feel anger begin to simmer inside of me. Even though he looks apologetic, he says it so casually. What are you all hiding from me? Let's gather everyone later, shall we? I think Waltz might want to be here for this too. What does Waltz have to do with any of it? Be patient, Princess. You've already waited this long. What's another few hours? I have no choice but to agree with Parfait and Delora. I have no choice but to agree when Parfait and Delora refuse to say any more, but I'm not happy about it. I spend the rest of my time doing idle chores around the tavern. I do a few rounds of sweeping with Mr. Broom and mindlessly organize some of the bottles. I cannot believe everyone knows something about me that I don't. But now I'll find out the entire story. Maybe it will answer some of the questions I have. But why are they keeping things about me a secret to begin with? Delora gathers everyone in the tavern to discuss the kidnappings. I decide to sit in between Waltz and Karma. So, we have a story to tell. Story time, huh? I don't suppose this would be a romance, would it? How can you stand to make comments like that constantly? How can you stand to live a lie? The two glare at each other across the table, but Delora silences them. Delora starts with a story about the Great War, one that I have already heard so many times I can recite it myself. What does any of this have to do with me? Because of the fairy tales, witches like myself were punished for simply existing. Our leader, the Tenebrium bearer, was a kind witch that was overtaken by the grief that her people suffered. She was driven so far into madness that she created the fairy tale curse to punish humans and make them suffer as the witches had. And when that wasn't enough, she committed the ultimate taboo. She killed a human. I tried to stop her, but by the time I thought to act, it was too late. Knowing that Delora and Parfait were involved in the Great War makes it seem more real. But wasn't the Tenebrium bearer killed? How can the fairy tale curse continue to spread if she is dead? I believe that the Tenebrium bearer sacrificed the last bit of her life to continue powering the Tenebrium. All to ensure that the remaining witches continue spreading the fairy tale curse. Is none of this ringing a bell for you? What are you talking about? She really did erase your memories. Erase. The witch who died, the Tenebrium bearer, was your mother, Princess Lucetta. What? For some reason, I turned to look at Karma, who is one of the only people who doesn't look away from me. I grew up outside of this kingdom, but even I knew of the terrible witch Hildur. You expect me to believe any of this? She wasn't a witch. I would remember that. Then if her mother was a witch, does that make us a witch? Or is it more of a, power-based thing, not a genetic thing? Well, you would if you had memories of the war and the years before that. Under Hildur's rule, the palace was a dark place. The king didn't have any real power until Hildur was defeated. That goes for the rest of us too. We were slaves to Hildur. Dolores' eyes flickered to Waltz. It's the truth. Waltz knows because he's also a witch. He experienced Hildur's command over the witches firsthand as well. So witches can have fairy tale curses placed on them. That's interesting. Waltz is a witch? Sorry for keeping it a secret, princess. It's not as if I can use much magic anymore. Not when I'm cursed. This is another secret of many. It seems everyone is hiding something. Everyone was freed after Hildur's reign. Witches, fairies, and humans alike. The king was even able to marry Ophelia, the woman he always truly loved. So, it has always been Ophelia that he truly loved. Was that the reason I never felt any love from him? Because I was my mother's daughter? He gave up on me. No, dear, I don't think he gave up on me. My voice is too loud in the reception area. I feel it crack beneath the pressure, and suddenly I want to cry. But Mother told me so many times not to cry. The king gave up on me, but Mother didn't. Mother would tell me this was all a lie. She would tell me not to trust anyone. They must be lying. I turned to Karma. For some reason, I trust him more than I trust Delora or Parfait. Considering Delora gave you the curse, I doubt you would ever trust her. Is this the truth? I was told the story of Hildur and her daughter Lucetta. They said you were the picture of elegance, but that you share your mother's icy nature. But I don't think that's true at all. If Hildur was ice, then you most certainly are a warm fire. If my mother was a witch, then what does that make me? You're a witch as well, whether or not you were ever taught to use magic. On your upcoming birthday, you will become the tenebrium bearer. So it is a genetic thing. Okay, cool. Do you realize how ridiculous this all sounds? Me, a witch? The king never said anything. And now I cannot even ask him if this is the truth because I'm cursed. Why would you even curse me? We didn't want a repeat of the tragedy, Lucetta. I sat on the shelves for almost a year, princess. There was ice in your heart, and if you had inherited the temerium in that state, who knows what would have happened? Then why didn't you just tell me any of this? Would you actually have listened if they told you any of this? No. No, you would not have. Delora and Parfait look at each other before dropping their gazes to the ground. If we had told you before, would you have even bothered to listen? The king might have tried to do the same thing, and look how that turned out. You shut out everyone who ever tried to tell you about Hildur's true nature. That is probably true. Even now, I'm having trouble believing that they are telling me the truth. The whole world feels as if it's collapsing around me. I need to escape. I need to go out and be somewhere else, but why are the witches looking for me? You are the heir of the temerium. No doubt the evil witches want you on their side so they can continue wreaking havoc in Angelia with the fairy tale curse. The men that were looking for Lucetta were not witches, though. They were knights. Perhaps the witches and the knights are working together. That must be part of Alacaster's scheme to steal the throne. What are you talking about? The plot thickens. The head knight is trying to take over. The reason why Garland and I left the Order of Caldera was because the king did not believe us about Alacaster's coup. How would he know of the princess's identity, though? Anyone who isn't a witch, a fairy, or isn't cursed shouldn't be able to remember her. I mean, that would explain why Fritz knows about us. If Alacaster's a witch, then Fritz would be a witch too. But now we know that it is not just the witches looking for the princess, but the knights of the Order of Caldera as well. They definitely have a description of her from someone. Why are you getting so close to my face? Scoot back. Lucetta. Karma reaches out a hand to touch my shoulder, and I flinch back before standing up. I cannot speak about this now. I want to be alone. Prince. Let her go. She'll need to think. She'll need a lot of time to think. I leave everyone sitting at the table as I try to process the whirling thoughts in my mind. Hildur, my mother, the only person I ever thought loved me, was the temerium bearer, a witch, the first witch to kill a human. The witch that started the fairy tale curse. All this time, I thought Mother was the only one who cared, but what if she never did? I stay in my room for a long time, trying to process everything I've been told. Days go by before I decide to leave the tavern again to watch Karma practice with the knights. These last few days I feel hollow. Maybe seeing the normal practices will help me feel better. Maybe it'll make things feel like nothing's changed. When I arrive at the forest, however, only Karma is standing in the clearing. He's staring through the trees as if he sees something there, but his expression is solemn, almost sad. Eventually he sighs, shaking his head before turning in my direction. Lucetta. I prepare myself for a response, but find that no words come to mind. I have not spoken to Karma since the talk about mother and witches, and any of the ease I felt with him before has slipped away. Still, I came here on my own, and I cannot just stand by being mute. I say the first thing that comes to mind. Where are Durin and Garland? I'll only train with Garland. Durin is on patrol duty tonight. He'll be here later. I just came early. It seems you did too. Lucetta, are you okay? I'm sorry I haven't been by to see you. We wanted space. You gave us space. Don't apologize. It is not as if you owe that to me. I don't owe it to you, but I truly wanted to. I've just been busy these last few days scouting the town for information, as much as I wanted you to come with me. Why would you ever have wanted to pair up with someone like me anyway? Why, Princess? That's because I'm bitter and cold, and even though I want to change, all I can think about is myself. But now I want to change because I do not want to be the same as my mother. Isn't that selfish? No? You want to change so you're not like a terrible person. That is not selfish. Maybe so. But I believe you are being selfish for the right reasons. An entirely selfless person cannot survive in this world. Before we can make others happy, we have to be happy ourselves. Happy ourselves? Yes, an angry person holds resentment towards everyone, and it mars whatever good deeds they seek to do. That is why I cannot complete my good deeds. Wrong. You've already got one done. Recognizing the need for change is always a good thing, Lucetta. Regardless of the motivations, you are trying to become a better person. That is what matters. He takes a step towards me, then puts his hands on my shoulders and leans down until I can look right into his eyes. Karma's serious expression startles me as much as his touch. It is never too late for someone to change. You taught me that. What? How could I have taught Karma anything? Do you mind if I tell you a story, Lucetta? He's standing too close. Are you finally gonna tell us how you got cursed? Step away from him. Don't move. He is kind of standing close, and if you want to tell me a story, I don't need you to, get up in my space. But he's not doing anything, but will not move. No, we're stepping away. You're too close. I take a step away from him and Karma's hands fall from my shoulders. He sighs out. The story better be just as dramatic as mine. Thank you, Lucetta. For what? For agreeing to listen, and for what you just did. Stepping away from him? Was I distracting him? Once upon a time, in a land far, far away, there lived a crown prince from a kingdom called... Brigantia? Sure, that's what we'll call it. Brigantia is one of the neighboring kingdoms, so this isn't make-believe. His name was Claude Adric Why is your name stupidly long? Whatever, who cares what your name is? But because the name was such a mouthful, he settled for an acronym as a nickname, at least around the palace, where it was acceptable. Claude Adric Karma? Prince Claude was a man who flaunted his beauty and talents to all that he met. He often used his title to get what he wanted. Prince Claude was a selfish man who felt he was entitled to everything he had. He was vain and often left his castle unattended so that he could avoid his responsibilities. And then one day, he chanced upon a beautiful maiden in the town square. He led her around the whole day, being as charming as he possibly could. And then, at the end of the day, he asked the woman to be his lover. She agreed, but their time together did not last long. Only weeks later, Prince Claude threw her away as one throws away an object, and broke the woman's heart. And she cursed him. That beautiful maiden was a witch, but Prince Claude found out too late. The witch said she would make him beautiful. The witch said she would make his beauty, his vanity, a curse. To make even beauty a curse. Ashamed of being cursed, the Prince Claude donned a disguise and left his kingdom behind. He has been gone for nearly a year now, and most probably assume he is dead. But in truth, the prince has come to Angelia seeking a way to break his curse. He had heard of a young lady named Lucetta who, on her 18th birthday, could dispel any curse. Karma. He looks so sad. I don't know how to comfort him. Claude? Karma? Claude turns startlingly red as he stares at me, and for a few moments he does not speak. I did guess, at least right, that he was royalty of some sort. Then he burst out laughing. I stare at him in shock, not understanding his reaction. I feel myself flush. Is that not your real name? No, darling, it is, but hearing you say my name, well, it sounds so much softer out of your lips. I rather like it. Claude is a terrible name, though. My cheeks are warm again. How is it that he is always able to make me feel this way? I will be calling you by that name if it makes you happy. Please don't. That's such an ugly name. Let's make it a secret between the two of us. I'm still Miss Karma here. Besides, I'd rather keep that name for my ears only. It makes me feel more special that way. More special? At that moment, Garland shows up for practice and Claude politely excuses himself. I watch the two of them trade blows. Claude favors his other hand, but his blows still come quickly, even with his injury. The more Claude tells me, the more I realize that he's like me, a noble, cursed for being selfish. But how do I help break his curse? Why didn't he tell me? As practice is winding to a close, Claude asks Garland the usual question. Have you confessed to Durin yet? Garland only shakes his head in reply. The two men sheathe their swords. Garland looks almost sad as he turns to make his way back to the tavern. He likes her, and yet he won't say anything. Why is that? Why is that frustrating me so much? Garland. Yes, princess? You just... it bothers us, but it's also not our... It's not our right to tell someone if they should confess or not. So it's nothing. Go about your day. Just leave me alone out of this, I guess. As much as I want to say something, Claude told me before how hard confessing was. I cannot begin to understand what that would be like. Princess? Lucetta, don't be afraid to tell him what's on your mind. Maybe you should really tell her, Garland. But before, Claude was adamant that Garland shouldn't confess to Durin. What changed? If I mess this up. Let's try looking at it through another lens. Imagine that Durin is Lucetta. How do you think she would like to be confessed to? I frown at the two men, arms crossed. Excuse me? Well, you and Durin are very similar. You're both very straightforward. Confess to the princess? My eyes move to Claude, but only fleetingly before they once again are in Garland. You just need to do something simple, Garland, something that will not rub her the wrong way. The maiden's heart is very fragile, and each woman is different. Claude is wearing an amused smile on his face, but he is looking at me, not Garland. I feel my face flush and have to look away. Lucetta, your tomato red again. It's adorable. I cross my arms over my rapidly beating heart again and try and force a scowl on my face. No, I was just thinking about what Garland could do. Something simple, like when Karma kissed my hand. Garland kissing Durin's hand is probably not a good idea. Maybe he could do what Claude and I did that day in town. He could buy her some food and they can just talk. Garland, have you ever just tried asking Durin out for food? Not alone. Durin is practical and always eats at the tavern. She's also always on duty if she's available. I'll take her patrol shift 2 nights from now and tomorrow. You can ask her for a meal. We can make your invite a grand affair. We can drape banners on the walls, or I can even give you a rose. That sounds like a terrible idea. I am offended. I'm sure you would be. I feel like if I did something like that for Durin, she would get embarrassed and punch me. Sounds like another lady that I know. Claude grins at me, but I roll my eyes. Garland, just ask her normally, and then when you are out and alone together, you can confess, and we'll make sure you have time to do it. I'll purposely come late to practice tomorrow night so you can ask her out for that date. How does that sound? You two really think I can do this? You just have to ask the question. Whatever follows will at least be an answer. Tomorrow night, then. Good man. I'm sure it'll go swimmingly. Or I could drown. You won't drown, Garland. Garland excuses himself with a nervous smile, but before Claude turns to me expectantly with a mischievous grin. Now, Lucetta, we'll come here early tomorrow and spy on them. We need to scope out a good spot. Spy on them? Of course! We need to make sure that our efforts pay off. I don't think we should. You don't want to see how it plays out? I mutely shake my head, unable to put my emotions into words. For some reason, I imagine myself in Durin's position. It feels too personal. Claude's likeliness suddenly springs to mine, and I feel my face grow hot again. Lucetta, you've been oddly out of it today. Claude reaches out a hand towards me and then abruptly pulls away. I stare as he smiles at me almost sheepishly. The conversation between us dies, and we return to the margin. Days pass, and though I do not spy on the conversation between Durin and Garland, I notice that Garland has been smiling from ear to ear during his practice with Claude recently. I can only assume that his confession went well. I'm glad. I am so happy for them. Claude took the patrol shift tonight, and as I lie in bed, I am restless. Every time I watch Claude practice with Durin and Garland, I am reminded of the palace of Fritz. I wonder how Fritz is doing. Is he still practicing with the other knights? My thoughts darken as I recall the kidnapping. Claude had to save me every single time. He got injured saving me. Unable to sleep, I slip out of bed and make my way to the reception room. The night air is cool, and no one stops me. But no one stops me from standing just outside the margin. I cannot just sit back and do nothing anymore. I have to act. I do not want Claude to get hurt because of me again. Eventually, I see Claude approach. He looks tired and is moving more slowly than usual. But when he sees me, his lips quirk into a smile. Lucetta, what are you doing out here tonight, love? Love instead of darling? That's new. Hello, Claude. His face is dark red again. If you're using my real name, I suppose you've come to ask for something serious. How could he know that? I do need something from you. Well, if you need a shoulder to cry on, I'm right here, love. What? Oh, this not about... Never mind. I'm asking if you will be my instructor. For some reason, I seem to have caught Claude off guard. He stares at me for a few moments. What? I want to learn how to use the sword, and I want you to be my instructor. Claude's expression becomes uncharacteristically serious. I'd rather you didn't learn how to use a sword. I do not want you to have to keep protecting me. I don't mind protecting you. I do. Claude sighs and shakes his head. Princesses shouldn't be using swords. I want to be able to stand on my own 2 feet. You are? I do not want you to get hurt again when I could do something about it. Teach me, please, Claude. Once again, he flushes. It seems to be an instant reaction, and it is both amusing and enduring. It won't be easy. I wasn't expecting it to be. Claude stares at me for a long time before finally letting out a heavy sigh. Fine, I'll train you. You won't learn it in a day, but I can teach you the essentials. You can use one of the knight's training swords. Thank you. Music to my ears. Meet me in the clearing in 10 minutes. 10 minutes? What? You said you wanted to train, so we will. Don't expect me to go easy on you. But aren't you tired? He looks exhausted when he came in, and now he wants to train? Already trying to get out of training? I'm not. Claude shakes his head, but he is smiling. I'll see you there in a few minutes, love. Moonlight spills through the leaves, illuminating the forest with gentle light. Long minutes pass, and as I stand in the clearing, I begin to feel restless. It isn't like Claude to be late. Is he tending to his injury? I hear rustling in the leaves and turn immediately to see what the disturbance is, but the minute I do, I am pulled back by a strong force, and my world goes black. Before I can scream, I hear a gentle voice in my ear. Lesson 1, Lucetta. When approached by an enemy that you cannot see, remain calm and use your 5 senses to judge how best to get the upper hand. This voice is coming right behind me. He took his gloves off. Claude, I become aware that this is the closest he's been to me with my back pressed to his chest like this. Panicking disorients the mind. That is why you must remain cool under any circumstance. How could I not panic? Any normal person would panic. Still, I try to force myself to calm. Lesson 2. Enemies will often let down their guards when they think they have the upper hand. Catch your opponent off guard by remaining calm and locating this weakness with your senses. I try to calm myself as Claude instructs, and I feel it is a bit easier, but only because I know it is Claude. An opening. I move as quickly as I can, stepping forward so that I can swing an elbow back at Claude's stomach. I don't think that's the right way to get out of holds like that, but sure. Before that happens, Claude has pulled me back to him, closing whatever distance I had put between us. Yeah, that's what I thought. In the process, he moves his hand from my eyes to my mouth. I can once again see the forest, but my words are muffled beneath his hand. Another thing to remember, you won't always be able to catch your enemy off guard by throwing punches or hits at them. Your opponent will usually always be stronger than you, Lucetta. Remember what I said about a weakness. Enemies will often let their guard down when they believe they are winning, just like I have, an opening. A thought occurs to me as I glance around and then down at Karma's bandaged hand. Karma's bandaged hand is over my mouth. Is this an opportunity or a trick? What will you do, princess? What kind of tactic would remove you from my grasp? We're definitely not toppling him. God, that was... That's definitely not the answer. We're biting his hand. I'm going to feel terrible about this, but I have to try. I try to shift my head to get enough space to bite down, and even Claude cannot hold me completely still as I squirm. Eventually, the hand over my mouth moves just enough for me to open my mouth, but I falter. I cannot bite the hand that I have injured. Unable to do anything else, I mutely shake my head, and I hear Claude groan. In one swift motion, he pushes me down to the ground, pinning my hands by my head as he frowns at me. You're not even going to try and find an opening? I glare at him. I am not going to bite your hand. Bite my hand? I didn't even think of that. But you made it obvious. You put your hand over my mouth. I meant for you to try to move my hand. Pushing back a person's thumb usually causes their grip to loosen. That seems like too much work. Just bite the hand. How was I supposed to know that? Experience is the best means of practice, as they say. I have a whatever about that particular lesson, but I hold on to it. A complaint. That was the word I was looking for. That was a pretty good attempt, love, but not good enough, I'm afraid. I wasn't expecting you to come at me like that. I was expecting sword practice. You weren't expecting a man to kidnap you in the alleyway, were you? I glare up at him, unable to say anything because he is right. You're oddly quiet. It is hard to find an opening to hurt you when you are not really my enemy. He does not move, but he continues to stare at me. His face is close to mine. Close enough to what exactly? Lucetta, do you trust me to protect you? That's not the point. I need to be able to protect myself. Because you're planning on investigating the witches on your own? No, I want to be able to protect myself because I do not want you getting hurt protecting me. Claude leans down, and I can feel his hair at my cheek. For a few moments, everything slows to a stop, and all I can hear is my heartbeat and his slow breathing. Once you set your mind to something, you don't let go, do you? Claude pulls away from me before I can respond, and he's standing again, offering me a hand. Let's get started with some sword work, then. The pleasant smile is back on his face. I can never tell what he's thinking at times like these. What are you really like, Claude? Chapter 7. I wonder if Karma's curse is gonna break just like in the actual fairy tale with a true love's kiss. I don't need to say, as my mouse just died too. Did it die? It did die. Let's see. I don't think this battery is gonna last long either. Nope, this battery's dead too. I mean, I guess we don't need the mouse. I can use the whatever. We're gonna take a break for a sec. So I can go plug this in, get some water and stuff. And I got a snack while I was out getting water. When I return to the merchant later that night, my hands are scratched and I think I might have a bruise on my arms. Claude was not joking when he said he would not go easy on me. But he did compliment me more than once. Lucetta, I hit you quite a few times, and you haven't uttered a single complaint. Impressive. Crying is for the weak. Though everyone should be sleeping, I noticed that the lights are still on in the tavern. I see Durin and Garland up and at a table speaking with each other and laughing. Aw, they're on a cute little date in the tavern. If Claude had come back with me, he would be happy to see this. You two are still up? They are not even surprised when they turn to face me. Good days like this are even better when stretched. I haven't been off duty in a long time. Did you both have a good time tonight? It was great. Garland knows these little places in town that I've never even heard of before. I noticed that Durin is more energetic than usual. Her smile is a little wider than normal. I wonder if she's drunk. I'm going to get another drink. Another drink? Garland leans towards me, his voice hushed. We already bought a replacement bottle when we went out today. We would never take anything from the merchant without money. Right. Is Durin drunk? Oh no, princess. Tipsy. It's like a buzz. Fades a lot quicker. Oh. Garland and I watch Durin as she refills the glass at the bar. Excuse me. I have to thank you, Princess. I would have never asked her out if you and Karma hadn't insisted on it. So you told her? Garland looks at me with a pleased smile. I'll take that as a yes. She didn't really realize until much later. I just asked her out for food and she thought that's all it was. Maybe Jaren really did need to be told bluntly what happened. I told her, and we talked and remembered old times. He sounds like an old man. And I held her hand. I noticed Jaren flinch ever so slightly, but he is smiling. He looks pleased with himself. And the night's not over yet, so... He trails off with a hopeful smile before he raises his eyebrows at me. What about you and Karma? Oh, we're getting the teasing turned to us now. What about us? I asked him to train me. Train? Princess, you've asked him to teach you how to use a sword? And what's this? Our princess is going to pick up a sword? Jaren returns to the table, but I'm too tired to properly join in the conversation. I should leave them to their conversation and head to bed. I need to get some rest if I want to start practicing at night. Sorry, give me a sec. Excuse me. Oh. I excused myself to head upstairs. The light is too bright. Oh no. I am startled awake by an extremely bright light. It is momentarily, and when it is over, I am sitting in bed, dazed and confused. My eyes burn. My hand flies to the pendant around my neck, where I see the second glass slipper with another piece. Wait, this... no, go back. I see the second glass slipper with another piece. Oh. Yeah, look how ugly this necklace is. I don't know how we got a second piece. Unless it's talking about us, like, if you count helping Garland get a date, I guess. I don't know what we did to warrant a second piece. There's another piece. But when did I do another good deed? I grasp the necklace tightly in my hand as I make my way to the tavern. Everyone is doing their pre-morning chores. When I get to the tavern area, I notice Karma glaring off into space, and then not far from him the two knights. They must have been up all night, have they? I make my way slowly over to them. Even back then, you were like some kind of shadow, weren't you? You don't have to hide it. It was obvious you were trailing me back then. It was only because I was worried about you. I realize. You really don't have to follow me, Lane? Lane? I think it's Lane. But I'm glad you did. Lane. Jurin. Oh, shush. Fritz used to call you that too. Lane is Garland's childhood nickname. He gets embarrassed when I call him that. I see, so what are you two talking about? Oh, we were just reminiscing. I look at the two of them critically for a few moments, waiting for them to say anything. They both exchange a glance before looking at me, confused. Well? Well, what? How did your date go last night? Garland makes a sound and turns beet red. Jordan's eyebrows quirk and then she laughs. Oh, that. It went well. So well, in fact, that you can see that the two of us are still very much enjoying each other's company. Karen is usually busy taking her rounds around the marchen with a scowl on her face. She looks happier being here with Garland, more relaxed. You might even say that we're dating. Isn't it funny how red he gets, Princess? You were blushing just as much yesterday when I... One more word, Lane, and I swear I'll punch you. The two of them are both blushing now, and the scene is oddly comical. Who knew that the two great knights of the Order of Caldera could be so easily undone? Both of you are amusing to watch. The two of them stare at me, suddenly solemn-faced. I suddenly remember that one conversation the knights all had at the castle. They were talking about how they all had personal reasons for being knights, despite the fact they all served the king. I had always thought that Durin and Garland were stoic and honorable, that their only reason for becoming knights was a sense of justice. Seeing them here, though, without the stoic facade, they feel more like people. My curiosity is piqued. Do you mind if I ask what your reasons were for becoming knights? Oh, my father was a knight. He put his life on the line for this kingdom. Durin's father was a living legend in his own right, and he had the medals to back it up. My father wasn't around a lot, but I always admired him. Judging by the look on Durin's face, it is clear to me that she really loved... Oh. She really loved her father. Oh. My mother died when I was young, and because my father couldn't be around all the time to take care of me, I ended up practically living with Lane and his family. Lane always got annoyed when I called him my brother. Now I know why. Durin wanted to follow in her father's footsteps. Then why did you join the Knights, Garin? Probably to protect her. Yeah, because he wanted to watch over me. I never knew you blushed so easily, Garland. Garland seems to blush even harder at that, and Durin's laughter becomes infatuous. I feel amusement begin to bubble up as I watch the two of them. But a cold voice cuts through the laughter, and the atmosphere, like a hot blade, turns ice. Could you keep it down over there? I turn and see Claude's eyes, normally so warm, are cold. His usual smile is gone, replaced by a deep scowl. Oh, we're sorry. He's still glaring at the two of them. Oh, I can tell him about the necklace. Karma, I got another piece of my necklace. Another good deed. Claude turns his gaze to me, but the frown doesn't disappear. That's nice, darling. His voice is calm but flat and lacks any enthusiasm. That felt lackluster and oddly disappointing. A good deed? Congratulations, princess, you're closer to breaking your curse. What did you get the good deed for? I'm not sure exactly. Maybe it was for helping Lane confess. I hear you and Karma went out of your way to help make it happen. That happened yesterday, though. Maybe the magic was waiting to see what became of Garland and I? Claude makes a dismissive hand gesture from his table, frowning. If you two insist on being affectionate, you should get a room. Affectionate? They're sitting at the table talking. Karma, come on. Durin's smile has faded away into a dangerous scowl. When Garland looks confused, Durin looks noticeably irritated. The shadow is still there on his face. Claude doesn't look okay at all. Confront him or scold him? Probably confront him. That's what we'll go with. Something must really be bothering him. I should be patient with him, just like he is with me. Before I can even think about what I'm doing, I reach out to grab his hand. He just slapped my hand away. You shouldn't just reach out to touch a person without giving them some warning. That is true, but Karma has reached out and touched us multiple times without warning too. But he's also in a bad mood. Like, why did we think it would be a good idea to touch someone in a bad mood? Like, we could have done anything else. But he does that with me all the time. I put my hand back, and at the same moment, Claude's expression falls. He looks at me with an almost pained expression on his face. No, wait, I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. Silence descends for a few moments before Claude abruptly stands up from his table. Excuse me. Claude turns briskly and heads upstairs, leaving me with the two knights. I wonder what's wrong with him. You think we've been running him too thin because of practice? I don't think it's you two. I get the feeling that Claude holds himself back from saying what he means sometimes. Sometimes he acts strange, distant, and recently he's getting more and more moody. Princess? I look over at Annie's, who is smiling apologetically. Sorry to interrupt, but Mr. Broom is getting kinda restless. Time to sweep, I suppose. Well, maybe cleaning will help me get my mind off things. The rest of the day goes by slowly. I'm stuck cleaning most of the day and then serving later. At one point, I speak to Delora about the knights that had attempted to kidnap me, and she tells me that she and Parfait are meeting later to discuss their suspicions. I still do not understand what their suspicions are, when Sir Alacaster cannot possibly know who I am. My hands are sore by the end of the night, but I still feel like I can practice with a sword. I notice that both Durin and Garland look restless too. Garland eventually leaves for patrol, while Durin remains at a table, looking deep in thought. I do not want to bother her, but I decide to try and find Claude. I go to his room and find that the door is locked. Why are you trying the handle? Knock on the door first. We just had an incident of you walking in on him. Why do you think it would be a smart idea to walk in on him a second time? Karma, are we training tonight? No answer. My heart sinks. Is he not speaking to me? Did I do something wrong? For days, Claude stays in his room, only leaving when he has to be on patrol. A few times I saw Parfait go into his room, but she refuses to talk about what is bothering him. I feel so useless. When Claude did appear in the tavern or out in the town, he still had the terrible grimace on his face. Look, I don't really want to talk right now. If you're so frustrated with me, why not just ignore me? No, I'm not going to train tonight. I'm not in the right state of mind. I don't want to talk about it. Just leave me alone, please. I am really beginning to worry about him. Today, I am in town running errands with Waltz for Parfait. It has been almost a week since Claude started acting so strangely, so I thought I needed to do something for him. I know he likes dresses, and he told me once that he likes roses, but can I really find something that will cheer him up? Perhaps he would like some jewelry? Waltz, do you remember where that jewelry store Karma likes is? I don't go there very often, so unfortunately, no. Princess, is this a good deed? What you're doing right now, do you think it would be a good deed? Good deeds need to be selfless. Right? Generally, yes. I doubt this will count as selfish. Selfless. I am doing this to cheer Karma up. That sounds pretty selfless. But it's also so he goes back to teaching me how to fight instead of sulking in his room. I've heard that Karma had been teaching you how to use a sword. Why do you want to learn how to fight? Because I want to be able to protect myself, and it's not like I can use magic. At least sword fighting gives me the advantage. We are a witch. We could ask the Lord to teach us how to use magic. I'm sorry, Princess. I wish I could teach you magic, but it doesn't work when you're under a curse. Oh, well, that just explained what would explain why we're not learning how to use magic. But on your 18th birthday, when you become the Terrabin Bear, you'll be able to use magic. I'll instruct you if you want me to. That would be nice. Though that does not solve my current problem. What would cheer Claude up? Walt starts chuckling beside me, and I turn to look at him confused. Karma is important to you, isn't he? He's my partner, and he's helped me. He has also been patient with me and smiled even when I said some really inconsiderate things to him. I'm glad, Princess, that he's your friend. My friend? Claude does not feel like a friend. He feels like something else. Oh, Princess, is this the one you were looking for? Claude points to a peddler sporting different kinds of jewelry, and I instantly make my way towards it. There are all kinds of glittering things displayed, and for a few moments I feel myself drawn to everything. And then I notice the price tags. I barely have any money left for when the king gave me that pouch. I cannot afford any of this. Maybe we should do our errands first and then look for a gift. Maybe we'll find something as we look through the stores. But if I don't get Claude's gift today, I might not be able to give it to him tonight. Princess? Oh. There's nothing saying we can't come back to the store afterwards. I think run errands first. Because if anything, we have a higher chance to find something as we're running errands. And if not, like I said, we can always come back to the jewelry store. And if not this one, there must be another one in this town, this kingdom. So let's run errands first. Well, Taz a good point. We might find something while we do the errands, and then we can get them out of the way. Besides, it's not right for me to put Claude above everyone else. We spend a few hours gathering the supplies we need for the tavern, and only then do we start looking again for Claude's gift. Princess, I can hold more bags for you. It's fine. I am used to carrying lots of bags. Does Karma make you carry them around? Princess, you really should tell him off. He does a lot of other things for me, but next time I think I will. So long as he gets out of his room sometime soon, I really hope he does. Hey, Princess? But now the problem is finding something that he likes. What does Claude like? Princess! There's no reason for you to shout. Holt shakes his head at me, but he's smiling. Let me offer you a deal. A deal? If you help me set up one of my puppet shows, I'll pay you. You earn money for your puppet shows? Do you just think he does it for free? You are kind of just a spoiled princess, so I guess. But I get tipped, so what you say? I won't go easy on you, though. Yes, I'll help you. Why do you seem so surprised? I was just thinking that everyone's right. You really changed, Princess. Maybe having Karma as your partner really was a good idea. Being partners with Claude may have changed me for the better, but I doubt I have done the same for him. I'm sure Karma would be very happy that you were buying him a gift. Receiving gifts from admirers isn't the same thing as you getting him something. He receives gifts from admirers? For a few moments, I think about the woman who chased us in town a few weeks ago, and I feel a little unpleasant stab in my heart. Small things. That man will treat him to dessert every so often. I saw a lot of it when we did errands together. I always make Karma accept those gifts without killing the man. Killing the man. It's dramatic, but sounds like Karma. He punched Rumple when he asked him to marry him, joke or not. Karma wears his disguise to be convincing, but then gets angry when people fall for it. He is still very much a child. You know how he is. He doesn't like being flirted with. Waltz, do you know anything else about Karma's curse? His curse, he never really talks about it. Claude may be even more stubborn than me if he's not letting anyone help him with his curse. Waltz and I continue our search for a gift. Waltz tells me that I can look for something a bit more expensive and that he'll just put me to work on another day by helping him with his puppets. I return to the jewelry peddler we found earlier. Hello, madam, sir, what can I help you with today? Do you have any sort of rose-shaped jewelry here? The man refers me to a box full of different size. The man refers to me. I can read, apparently. The man refers me to a box full of many different rose-shaped earrings. God, don't know why that was so hard. He then shows me necklaces, and I realize blatantly that it is as if I am searching for something for Miss Karma, not My eyes scan the glass. nearly in defeat before a little rose catches my attention in the back of the display window. It has a chain connected to it, but it doesn't seem long enough to be a necklace. What's this one? A bracelet? Oh, a pendant. That is our simple rose pendant, ma'am. It comes with a chain, but it also pins to the chest. The man takes out the display case so I can look at it. You can't call that a pendant, that's totally a necklace. It is fancy, but not completely flashy. I feel a little click as I press my fingers to the pendant, and I realize that it can also open. Oh yes, you can also put something small inside of it. This is perfect. I look at the price tag, and after making sure that it's not too expensive, I pay the shopkeeper. Waltz pays him the additional fee, and then we walk back towards the merchant together. When we return to the merchant, I go to my room to tuck the locket into a drawer before I head to the tavern to finish the rest of my chores. Just as I expected, Claude is not downstairs today either. Jurin and Garland have taken to training with each other, though they seem agitated that Claude is not helping them. At the end of the day, I hurry to my room where I write a few words on a piece of paper, then put the piece of paper that I put into the locket. A normal rose would have withered, so I offer this one instead, in heartfelt thanks. I hold the locket tightly in my hand and start towards Claude's room. Why is my heart beating so fast? I'll just give him a gift. I pause at Claude's door, remembering the last time I entered his room. I am sure it's okay if I go in. I open the door to Claude's room, which is thankfully not locked, and step inside. Claude is sitting motionless in front of his mirror, shoulders slumped as he stares at his reflection. He's shirtless, and there's that tattoo. It seems different. Claude does not notice me at first. I notice that his hand goes to the tattoo over his chest. Then I hear him sigh. Then I hear him heave a heavy sigh. I close the door behind me. It clicks, and that's when he suddenly turns to look at me. At first, there is just shock on his face, and then suddenly anger. Again, why do you do this again, Lucetta? Yeah. I don't know why we didn't learn our lesson the first time. Could have knocked. I think out of the two options, though, I think just giving him the pendant and leaving is the best choice. Like, we already wrote what we wanted to kind of say in the locket. So, I came to give you something. I tightly grip the locket in my hands as I stare at him. And this was so important, so very essential, that you once again missed knocking on my door for a simple delivery. His voice slices through my heart. I wanted it to be a surprise. I am not in the mood for surprises, princess. In no time at all, Claude is suddenly right in front of me, his hands outstretched on either side of me, pinning me to the wall against the door. His face is so close, his expression is so fierce, that I cannot even bring myself to think of a way out. The only thing I can do is stare at him levelly, without getting angry, without crying. I will not show any weakness. Why aren't you struggling or screaming at me? That's what the Lucetta I know would do. Then you do not know me as much as you think you do, and you know nothing about me. I already have a retort prepared when I stop, realizing that he is right. I barely know anything about him. No, I don't, but I'd like to. Why do you insist on poking your nose into other people's business? We're partners. That's the only reason. It has to be. I'm supposed to help you, so why do you keep secrets from me? Help me. His lips quirk, but his smile is sardonic. Claude, I want to help you. In the silence that descends between us, I find that I cannot help but look at Claude's tattoo, at the thorns twirling around the rose. It is beautiful, but it also seems so lethal. When I glance at Claude again, he looks crestfallen, his eyes glittering like he might be on the verge of tears. Secrets are secrets for a reason, Princess. You should know that. If I could speak about them, I would, but I can't, and you busting into my room without any notice only makes it harder. Harder for what? Princess, you can't imagine what this all feels like. What is he talking about? And that woman, I thought we were meant to be. She was so lovely, her smile as bright as the sun. Claude's eyes are far away. And that's why, never again. And then you ruined everything, Lucetta. You cut me down like... I pushed my hands against Claude's chest, catching him off guard and forcing him to stumble back. I cannot take any of this. If I've ruined everything, then I'll just leave. You can have all the time in the world to yourself then. The locket I bought for him burns in my hand, and I end up throwing it at his feet. Lucetta, wait. I ignore him as I run from the room. When I return to my room and lock the door, I feel too hollow inside for tears. It hurts to breathe when I think of Claude. I eventually manage to fall asleep, but only have snatches of restless dreams when my eyes finally close. Mother, are you and Father in true love, like the fairy tales? I thought I forbid you to speak of fairy tales. Have you been reading them? No, Mother, I overheard someone in the palace talking about them today. Then I shall have to find that person and make sure they know what an appropriate topic of conversation in the palace is. But Mother, the true love in fairy tales sounds so nice. Do you think I can fall in true love with a prince? Dearest one, true love like that does not exist. But the love between a mother and her child is the truest kind. It cannot be replicated by anything else. All other kinds of love is an illusion. My love is all you will ever need. Do you understand me, my heart? Yes, Mother. Keep your stance straight, Princess. Urine gives me the warning, but it's too late on purpose. I see the smile on her face as she effortlessly slides past my defenses and taps me on the shoulder with her wooden sword. I got you. Again. For the past few days, I've been practicing with Durin and Garland because Claude still hasn't come out of his room. The knights offered to train me, and right now they are teaching me about ways to hold a sword. This is slow. But Claude did tell me I wouldn't be able to master the sword so quickly. Claude. He made me so angry that one day that I could not even properly give him my gift. Yet I still feel sad that he is not here to teach me himself. Sorry. That's it. Come on, princess. Focus. I jolt out of my reverie and nod at Durin. Okay. I ready myself for the next strike and once again get tapped, this time on the hip. Garland takes over after Durin, and then we do rounds where I try to hit them with certain strikes. They are both good at teaching, but it does not feel the same as Claude's instructions. His lessons seem less like they were out of a book. Don't worry, princess. It always starts out slow. Lane was just as slow at training, but look at him now. Garland whips his head round in Durin's direction, and his face turning deep red. Durin, that nickname. But you're so much fun to tease, Lane. She beams at him, and he laughs at his embarrassed face. Our practice goes on for a few more minutes before the knights tell me to wrap up for the night. I think I'm going to stay out here for a little bit. Princess, you know it's dangerous out here at night. If I don't return in 10 minutes, you can come back and check on me. Durin seems unconvinced, but she eventually nods. Fine, but keep your guard up, princess. I watch the two knights as they head back. I see Garland put his arms around Durin's waist, pulling her closer. I turn away from the sight, ignoring the heavy feeling in my stomach. I'll just practice the swings for 5 more minutes. The only thing I hear in the clearing while I practice my shallow breathing and the wind in my ears. That was a weird sentence, but sure. Something breaks my concentration, however. I see a glimmer of color in the forest, and I instantly stop. My hands grow tense on the wooden sword. What was that? I glance around at my surroundings, and then I freeze when I feel a hand on my shoulder. I can feel someone's breath on my neck. This feels familiar. Is it Claude? We should... Let's turn and point the sword at him. I'm pretty sure I recognize Claude's hand, but because I know it's him, I also know what he'd want me to do. I duck away from his hand and turn quickly to point my sword. The tip of the wood is at his neck, and for a few stunned moments I think I've won. Even Claude looks surprised. It's really him. But then Claude's hands have moved, and he has one hand over my wrist and the other over my sword. Good, Lucetta. You realize you had an opening, but you broke your concentration. Claude removes his hands, allowing me to lower my sword. I'm sorry, Lucetta. I feel my breath catch in my throat when Claude holds out the rose pendant that I got for him. I feel my cheeks flush. You accidentally left this beautiful thing in my room when I came to return it. Return it? Yes, you left it in my room, so I only thought it was appropriate to bring it back to you. Does he really think I left it there on accident? Why would I leave it in your room on accident? What? I bought it for you and wanted to give it to you, but you were acting so strangely, and Claude's eyes widened, the surprise clearly on his face. Lucetta, you bought this for me? Why does he look so shocked? Claude looks at me in awe for a few minutes. His eyes go back down to the locket. He traces a finger around the intricate shape, his eyebrows slowly furrowing. It's to thank you for everything you've done for me. Lucetta, this is beautiful. He lets the chain fall through his fingers as he stares at the rose pendant with adoration. I feel my heartbeat stutter as he turns to regard me with the same gentle smile. He leans forward and my breathing stops as he reaches out to hold out my glass slipper necklace. He's standing too close to me. You really are a good person, Lucetta. You completed your second good deed. I think some kind of congratulations is in order. Is there anything you want that I can give to you? I look at him and notice that Claude's smile doesn't reach his eyes. He still looks so sad. I feel like there's so much that I want from Claude, but I do not want to ask for anything that might make him sad. I want you to smile. Claude looks at me, his expression puzzled. He chuckles softly. But I am smiling. No, I want a real smile, one that isn't so sad. Ah, you saw right through me. We have been partners for long enough. How about this one? He smiles a little awkwardly, and the quirk of his lips look more embarrassed than bright. I raise an eyebrow in confusion. No need for that look, darling. I really do appreciate you worrying for me. Karma suddenly stops, eyes wide. He puts his hand on his chest and takes a step away from me, his fingers curling at the fabric of his shirt. Claude has a pained expression on his face, only making me more anxious. Not now. Claude, are you okay? What's wrong? Lucetta, don't worry about it. He lowers his hand with a pained smile slowly fading from his face. And this does little to reassure me. Was it my fault you were locked in your room for so long? He looks so pained to be anywhere near me. No, most definitely not. I was feeling under the weather. And also bitter. Bitter? Why would he feel bitter? But it's not for you to worry about, darling. For now, we should head back. It's late and you need rest. I just got back from patrol, so I would like to rest as well. Is there anything else I can do for you? No, sweet Lucetta, you have already done enough for me. He clutches the rose locket to his chest and sighs out a little with a gentle smile. This smile feels real to me. This is a beautiful gift, and I will treasure it always. Thank you, Lucetta. Now, shall we head back? I nod at him, and we silently walk back to the merchant. When we make it back to the tavern, I feel tired, but also lighter than I have for weeks. Claude wishes me a good night before slowly walking off to his room, holding the rose locket I gave him tightly. Today, I am walking around town to do some errands with Claude. It has been quite a while since we have done this. Though we are here to run errands, there is also something else that draws me into town today. Yesterday, Waltz came back to the merchant and told us of an announcement the king was making today. Apparently, the announcement had been posted for at least a week's time, but Waltz only caught onto it after hearing about it from the crowds after one of his puppet shows. I'm not sure what this announcement entails, but I feel like I need to see the king make it with my own eyes. I can see more people milling about than usual, which means most of them must be waiting for the king to speak. I have a bad feeling about this. It's not strange for the king to make an announcement, but this feels so sudden. And with everything else that's happening to me, I feel on edge. Wow, Lucetta, you make these bags sound a lot lighter than they actually be. Stop complaining, Miss Karma. You get valuable experience out of carrying bags. Seeing Claude complain is amusing, especially since I know he can handle the load. I feel like a servant. What does that make me when you make me carry all those bags before? An assistant? I roll my eyes at him. We both work at the merchant, you know. And then the thought strikes me. What do you even do at the merchant? Karma looks surprised at my question, but then he quickly smiles at me. I mean, considering he goes out shopping and patrols, I think that would count as enough work to be able to stay at the merchant. I train the knights, of course. I also attract customers with my beautiful I start laughing, and Claude's face flushes. Darling, I get the feeling you're laughing at me. I wonder. We finish up the rest of our errand and then sit down in the town plaza to rest. Claude leaves briefly and then returns with a slice of cake for the both of us to share as a snack. I have a lot of things I want to ask him, and now feels like the right time to do so. May I ask you a question? Of course, darling, anything. Do you enjoy dressing like a woman? I don't mind it, really. I appreciate the beauty in everything. The girls get to wear quite an assortment of lovely dresses and makeup. It's quite beautiful. I feel more comfortable in my own clothes, but I do not mind dresses. I guess if you had to wear a dress for so long, you'd get used to it. I have another question, and what would that be? When I was in your room the other day, you spoke about a woman. Were you talking about the witch who cursed you? Oh no, the woman I was talking about. He suddenly goes quiet and lowers his head. His expression fades into something more melancholy. And I feel my heart lurch. Maybe I shouldn't have brought this up? To my surprise, Karma continues talking. Shortly after I came to Angelia, there was a woman that I met whose smile was as radiant as sunshine. She was beautiful, and when she laughed, everything felt right about the world. Hearing him talk about her makes me uncomfortable. Am I jealous? Claude watches me quietly, as if measuring my expression. Eventually, he goes back to speaking. I knew her for many months. Time passed, and I thought we were truly in love, and then He goes silent for a moment, his eyes distant, his expression pained. Well, some things happen, and I realize she can only love me because of my curse. She was drawn to me just as any other woman is. She seems so genuine in comparison to the other women, but in the end. Claude trails off and lets out an exasperated sigh. You were truly in love with her? I was. I dated many women, but I have never fallen in love with someone who had honestly loved me back. So then the last person he loved was that one woman. Claude looks at me, and for a few minutes he does not speak. Lucetta, do you mind if I ask you a question? No, I don't mind. Have you ever loved anyone? My mother, of course. I love how quick she is to be like, obviously, I love my family. Not my family. I love my mother. I was referring to a romantic kind of love. Romantic kind of love. What does that kind of love feel like? Allow me to enlighten you. He smiles at me, and it is surprisingly genuine. It can feel simulationally like floating and sinking. Your heart stutters and you worry about small things, about offending the other person in some way. You wonder if they'd like what you're wearing, or if they would prefer a sandwich to a casserole when you treat them for dinner. Those are two very completely different foods. You begin to find beauty in all of the things they do. Their presence makes you feel complete in a way you have never thought of before. You try to imagine life without that person and find that you cannot. You even consider such things as painful, so much so that it feels like it might break your heart. Claude continues talking, but my mind is already whirling, though he phrases things in a way that still feels unnecessarily dramatic. I feel a tinge of familiarity. The things he's describing, those are the things I feel when I'm with him. Before I can say anything, I hear the sounds of hooves, and both of us turn. I can see a procession of knights along with the king on his horse. He normally rides into town like this, but today he's not smiling, and there are way too many knights riding with him. And is that Sir Alacaster? Let us find a place to stand and watch. As you wish. Claude walks with me into the crowd gathering around the king, and we find a spot to speculate at the very edge, closer to the alleyways. My beloved citizens of Angelia, I have come before you today to make an important announcement. Ever since I was given this crown, I have sworn to live my life for the people and to rule in all fairness, so that our kingdom could enjoy great peace. The crowd breaks into applause. I stare at the king, an uneasy feeling in my stomach when I notice that there is sadness in his eyes, even though he is smiling. Is he going to give over his crown to Alacaster here? And then I notice Sir Alacaster appears to be hiding a smile. I do not like where this is going. The king's speech goes on for long minutes after that, with him detailing the commitment he made, the goals he set, and finally his love for the people. The audience around us applauds and cheers, but Claude and I are silent. Something is not right. I nod in response. To this day, I kept this promise. I would never break this oath, for it is the foundation on which I rule. The audience claps again, but I am silent, watching the king intensely. Unfortunately, the unwelcome news that I bring that I bring to you today gives me reason to hand this foundation over to someone else. I have fallen terminally ill. You're terminally ill, and instead of giving it to one of your stepkids, you give it to your advisor / knight? What? That makes 0 sense. The king proclaims is met with shock and anger chattering from the audience. I cannot hear anything that is being said over the canopy of voices, but I know that the audience is discerning. I stiffen as I stare at the king. He is lying. I can tell by the firm set of his jaw and the way his eyes flicker across the crowd faster than they ought to. The king has lied to me so many times before that I can recognize when he does it. I know that this unfortunate news must come as a shock, but this is an illness of which there is no current cure. As for the question of my successor, he trails off for a few moments, and I think I see something in his eyes, the hint of urgency, but I cannot see why. Crown Princess Emily is unmarried and still too young to rule on her own. I mean, I guess that would explain why Rod hasn't shown up in the tavern in a long time. If he's probably stuck having to deal with whatever's going on in the palace. I feel a pang of irritation and confusion. Another lie. Emily could rule just fine with the help of Sir Methos and the others. After much thought, I have come to the conclusion that our kingdom, which still continues to face dangers from the witches, is best put in the capable hands of the commander of the Order of Caldera, Sir Alacaster. What? I cannot hide my shock. The rest of the audience reacts similarly. Their sudden outburst a testament to their confusion. While I will be providing support and assistance from the sidelines, I cannot in good grace continue to wear this crown when I know I cannot serve my people as they deserve. Simply put, I believe that the witches have gained more power in the recent months and that Sir Alacaster is best suited to deal with these conflicts. The fairy tale curse runs more rampant these days than there have been, and there have been more reports of incident involving magic. The murmurs continue, except now the townsfolk sound panicked. This cannot be true. I do not miss the reluctance in the king's next words. Sir Alacaster has also suggested a number of remedies to our laws, especially concerning our security and work hours. I believe that Sir Alacaster can better rule this country in these turbulent times. Please show him all the love and loyalty you have shown me. That bastard. Claude has a foul expression on his face, and his words feel heavy even in a low whisper. I know the king. He takes every duty upon himself, and he would never hand his crown to someone else. Once Sir Alacaster comes to stand on the podium, he silenced them with a glare. Citizens of Angelia, I swear to you that I will serve you as well as Gennaro has. That being said, I also believe some changes will need to be made. Sir Alacaster continues to speak. He mentions things like curfews for safety, extending work hours, and additional taxes to go towards the knights. But I am slowly beginning to block out the drone of his voice. Wait, there is a curfew, but work has to extend their hours longer. Does that mean curfews like really late at night, like closer to like midnight? Or is it as soon as businesses close, that's when curfews starts? And so now businesses have to house their workers too. What is going on, sir? No, Alacaster must have done something to force the king into the charade. The king stands behind Alacaster with his hands clasped, his eyes alert. But there is a helplessness to them that I have never seen before. It's probably because Emily and Rod are hostages. That was the word I was looking for. Oh, and probably Ophelia, his wife. It isn't long before the crowd's unsettled murmurs become agitated whispers. I'm stunned when Claude claps his hands to his mouth and I start shouting. There's only one king, King Gennaro. Claude grips my hand and starts leading me towards the outskirts so that people cannot spot him as he continues his shout. The crowd begins to chant along with Claude, and then they draw nearer to the stage where my father and Alacaster are standing. There is only one king, King Gennaro. There's only one king, King Gennaro. Let's go, Lucetta. The crowd is right next to the platform now. The chant carries on. Excuse me. Claude pulls me behind him, but my mind is on my father and on his desperate eyes. Hours later, the Marchand Tavern's in chaos. People are talking over each other, trying to relay the same as they saw in town today. Every visitor here is talking about what they witnessed. I've been in a corner of the room this entire time, trying to understand everyone but failing. Delora and Parfait are not here to calm all of this chaos. Hey, princess, how are you feeling? I almost jump when I hear Rumpel's voice. Surprised, I can feel when a damsel is in distress, milady. I am really not in the mood for your flirting, Rumpel. Oh, my apologies. I thought you might have wanted some cheering up. Where's your partner? He went out to town to survey the situation. Karma doesn't do anything around the tavern, but he does a whole lot for you, doesn't he? I suppose that's the least a man in love can do. I feel myself blush. What is Rumpel going on about? Princess, you're pink. I am not. My mind feels all scrambled now. This is Rumpel's fault. Thankfully, before Rumpel can continue talking, the door opens and Delora walks inside to call all the merchant boarders into the reception room. When I step into the reception room, I am surprised to see two familiar figures standing beside Parfait. Emily and Rod. So they're not prisoners. Both of them look downtrodden and discouraged. Everyone is noticeably shocked as they step inside. The prince and princess, where did they come from? What is happening at the palace? What of Queen Ophelia? We need silence in the room, everyone. Delora raises her voice, effectively causing everyone to pause. She glances at Parfait, who nods and then turns to look at Rod and Emily. Princess Emily, if you would tell everyone what you told Delora and I. The room is unnaturally quiet as Emily begins her story. She starts with the events of 1 week ago. In the middle of a family dinner, Alacaster bursts in with soldiers and seized her, Rod, and Ophelia in front of the king. Sir Alacaster said that if the king didn't hand over his crown, he would kill us. We had no idea a coup would be staged. The three of them were taken down to the prison cells, with Ophelia taken to a separate cell. Sir Fitzgerald helped us escape, but only just barely. Fritz, are you openly disobeying your father? I hope that he is safe. Alacaster wanted to kill the king. I'm sure that he still will. But he has no reason to. The king has already handed over his crown. I speak before even realizing. Everyone stares at me, even including Rod and Emily. Alacaster is a foul man. I only think he... usurped the throne now without violence because he wants less resistance from the people. He never spoke up to my father before. Did you just say father? It's a long story, Em. Emily looks between Rod and I, her expression confused. You know each other? We do. Emily looks like she wants to say something, but she remains silent. Our mother is still inside the palace. We need to save her somehow, and Sir Fitzgerald. What happened to Fritz? We don't know. He helped us escape, but we were spotted at the last minute. He told us to run ahead and leave him behind. We didn't see him again after that, and we couldn't just wait, so Rod brought me here. Right now, we need to piece together the situation as quickly as we can, and then we need to figure out a way to save the king. I knew Alacaster was up to something, but I never thought it would escalate to this. Considering you guys you guys told the king Alacaster was planning a coup. Why do you think this now? It couldn't be that serious. Durin, what do you know about this? Marlon and I weren't stripped of our titles because we disobeyed Alacaster's orders. It was because we overheard Alacaster plotting something and tried to tell the king of his plot. We gave him a warning, but the king did not believe us, not with Alacaster and Methos whispering in his ears. The king didn't think Alacaster was possible for such a betrayal. He thought we were trying to turn him against Alacaster for our own gain. And so Alacaster stripped us of our titles and banished us from the palace. Lady Parfait found us, and while we were happy to help out at the tavern, we also intended to eventually do something about the mess in the palace. So Alacaster had been planning this all this time. When we parted for the night, Parfait and Delora took Rod and Emily into a room where they can share. It had been decided that they will be harbored here at the March End. A place that Emily apparently knew about but never came to because she wasn't cursed. Well, Rod did say that his family knew he was cursed. I noticed Emily looking at me many times throughout the night, but she never asked me anything. The next few days are a muddled mess. Everyone is trying to find out what happened and what can be done to help the king. I am sweeping the tavern half-heartedly one day, my thoughts on everything but my chores. Everyone's been trying to do something to help the last few days, though I have gone on quite a few trips into town with Claude to search for information. I haven't been able to find much. We're gonna go for another half hour, and then I think we'll call it for the day. I did say I wanted to make the stream longer, so I think 3 hours is gonna be my cutoff point. So we'll see how far we can get. Hopefully we get to the next chapter before I end. I feel so useless. I'm finally on my break, so I decided to go to the reception room to rest. When I step inside, I notice Emily sitting on the couch. She waves me over as soon as she sees me. She hasn't really openly spoken to me since she has been here. Parfait and Delora have been trying to hide her so as not to cause a ruckus in the marching. Rumors are dangerous now. You're Lucetta, right? Yes. Rod told me about your curse. He said that you're the king's blood daughter. I'm really sorry. I'm shocked by Emily's sudden outburst. What? I didn't mean to, but I took your place. How could I forget my own sister? 'Cause you're not cursed. We're not blood related. That doesn't matter. I would love you regardless. Emily was always trying to take me out and do things with her back when I was still in the palace. I distanced myself from her because I thought the king loved her more than he loved me. I still think that maybe he does. We weren't close. I barely spoke to you or to Rod. Didn't he tell you that? He did. But perhaps now we can turn over a new leaf? Emily is as stubborn as always. I have more things to worry about than becoming her friend. I have to go. I walk off before the conversation can continue. If I hadn't been cursed and remained in the palace, would Sir Alcester have taken me hostage too? The hours tick by, and as the tavern is emptied for the day, Delora calls everyone together to explain what she and Parfait have pieced together about the situation. All right, everyone, we've come up with some new information. The first is that Alcester has cracked down on the riots in town. Anyone seen protesting his rule is thrown in prison. The king always valued the people's opinions. Alcester does not want opinions. He wants to rule with an iron fist. I mean, that is not new. If you protest, you normally get thrown into jail, regardless if it's legal or not. Our patrols have shown that there is overall more security in the palace and around the town. They have been charged with keeping people quiet in whatever way they possibly can. As we heard from the prince and princess, things are most turbulent in the palace. The king is still alive, but it is unlikely he will stay that way for very long. One thing is clear, given Alacaster's motives to take over the kingdom, I doubt he will rest until the king is dead. The king's men have turned against him, and even if there are loyal soldiers still left in the palace, we cannot contact them right now. Rescuing the king and queen will be on us then. We just so happen to have people in the tavern that have a shot at rescuing them. Princess Rod has the key to a secret passage we can use to break into the palace. Secret passage, but only the king and the commander of the knights have the key to that passage, so how did they get a copy? The king probably gave the copy to, gave his copy to, Fritz. Who's going to join us on this mission? Durin and Garland both volunteer immediately, followed shortly by Claude and Waltz. I'll go too. The room goes quiet as I step forward and volunteer. Princess, we can't allow you to put yourself in danger. I look at Claude, who is staring at me, shocked. I took up the sword so I could protect those I care about. Princess, you don't have nearly enough practice. But I can help. I still have time to learn. I agree with Parfait, Princess. The palace isn't the place for you to try out your newfound sword skills. Then you may as well chain me up, because I refuse to stay here while you all go save the king. Princess. Well, she has been practicing with the rest of us. Don't encourage her, Durin. But it's not like any of us can stop her anyway. You're right, the princess is quite stubborn. Claude agrees with Durin, but I can tell that he does not like the idea of me going alone with them. If only we had time to get reinforcements from Karma's country. Karma's country? Brigantia. I don't remember what I called it. How is it possible that a Brigantian citizen can simply ask for reinforcements? I like how Waltz knows so much about Karma. Karma is the crown prince. There is some shuffling in the room as everyone turns to gawk at Claude. Rumple, Annie's, Rod, and Emily all look shocked by this revelation. You're the lost prince? Lost prince? It sounds like such a tragedy, doesn't it? Annie suddenly looks distressed as she fiddles with her thumbs. All this time, I never knew. I'm so sorry, Your Highness. There's no need for formalities, Annie's. But I am the lost prince after all. I kept my lineage a secret because right now I am just a normal commoner. But you're the prince. Couldn't you still ask for reinforcements? Even if I did ask for reinforcements, I'm pretty sure they would never come in time. Besides, I can't go back to my kingdom yet. He can't go back while he's still cursed. The conversation continues in a more solemn tone. Eventually, we start speaking of a plan to enter the palace. When the details are all finalized, I repeat everything to myself to make certain that I know what is meant to happen. Waltz will lead us to the palace then, and Durin and Garland will follow right behind him. allowing for the most immediate enemies. Oh, watching for the most immediate enemies. Leave it to us. I will be right back. I need the bathroom. We'll deal with We'll deal with any resistance before it touches you, princess. And Karma will be watching from the back along with Delora. A witch and a prince for backup. Delora smiles wearily. Claude rolls his shoulders. I'd like to think of us as more the closing act. Though if all goes according to plan, we will have no need for either the opening or closing act. It is a small task force, which is better. The smaller the better. The last thing we want is to be noticed. We decide to meet again over the course of the next few We decide to meet again over the course of the next week to finalize our plan and carefully survey the situation in town before parting. Claude has taken to training me, Durin, and Garland at the same time. Just the other day, he had all of us attack him together. Even though I was nowhere near as good as the trained knights, I still managed to hit him once. I feel like things are coming to some sort of conclusion, and yet I still haven't done 3 good deeds. Today we finalized our plans of getting into the palace. We have mapped out where the king and Ophelia must be in the prisons, where the guards must be positioned, and how we plan on sneaking in. I sit down on my bed, and I'm about to lay down when I hear something. Hello, love. You're also just gonna walk into my room, okay? I guess neither of us know how to knock. My, you're red. Were you thinking about me? I noticed that he had one hand on his chest tonight, but then he has been doing that more often lately. I notice it during practice and sometimes when he catches my eye. Is he sick? Darling? I shake myself at the sound of Claude's voice. What if I was changing? You could have knocked. Well, you didn't seem to have a problem when you walked in on me changing without announcing yourself. That's different. He strolls inside and steps closer to me. He smiles at me mischievously. Oh, how so? Cat got your tongue? Claude shakes his head, his smile softening. I really didn't mean to come in to disturb you. I just have something important I need to say to you. Claude kneels in front of me and furrows his eyebrows. I want to insist you reconsider going to the palace with us. As Parfait and Delora has said many times, it will be dangerous. Nothing you say is going to change my mind. I want to do what I can to help everyone. Yes, and that terrifies me. Terrifies you? If your stubbornness leads to you putting your neck out there for someone, I would never forgive myself for your injuries. If you want to help me, stay here, where you'll be safe. I'm not some damsel that needs to be protected. Lucetta, all I want is for you to stay safe, so that when we save your father, you can face him with a smile. I won't be able to face my father unless I'm one of the people to save him. Stubborn as always. I sigh, irritation welling up in my stomach at the look of Claude's face. He's calling me stubborn, but he's being stubborn about this. You said I've improved with my sword fighting. You have. You've improved so much because of your resilience and drive, and because you're genuinely interested. It's because I have a good teacher. Oh ho, your compliment is gentle music to my ears. Your compliments mean a lot to me, Lucetta. My eyes fixate on his soft smile and at the gentle crinkles at his eyes. Our eyes lock, and for a few moments I am aware of a slight energy between us. I glance away hurriedly, not entirely sure of what would happen if I keep staring at him. My heart beats unsteadily in my chest. Earlier today, I confronted your sister when she started crying about the things that have happened in the palace. Emily, why would he comfort her? I saw her crying downstairs in the reception room earlier today without anyone there. She is a rather sweet girl. I kept thinking that the two of you are completely different. You're both strong-willed and stubborn, but she wears her emotions on her sleeve, while you keep it all inside of you. I'm not hiding anything, if that's what you're implying. Mother always told me crying was weak. Claude stands up and leans forward. Before I knew it, I was in his arms. Lucetta, I'm always here for you. I feel flushed again and my mind feels foggy. I can barely comprehend what's in my mind or in my heart. Thank you. You never need to thank me, Lucetta, but you've done so much for me. It is not just the sword fighting, it's your presence, your company. You're saving me when I needed help. That's not true. I'm pretty sure I'm the most selfish person in this tavern. All I ever want is things for myself. I've never thought of you as selfish, Claude. Did you see? We got the little diamond showing we picked the right thing. I haven't noticed if we've been getting them, and I think I've mentioned last stream that I did look up. We're not on either path. We're in a neutral ending path. So I don't know how we got the diamond. Say we did something right this time. He puts his hand on my cheek, and I look at him solemnly. You don't think that me wanting you is... Suddenly he steps back, his hand on his chest again. He's breathing heavily. I stare at Claude with wide eyes. Claude, are you okay? I'm fine. He sighs out slowly, but he sounds obviously pained. I'll go get Annie's. No. I'm fine. I'm fine. I swear, it's just a dizzy spell. But you... He manages a small, tight-lipped smile before he straightens and shakes his head. His hands are visibly shaking. I must be tired, but Claude, do not tell anyone about this, okay? I don't want them to worry. Why is he always so stubborn? He is obviously in pain. I clench my hands into fists as I frown at him. Why must you always be so secretive? You're keeping something from me, Claude. I'm sorry, Lucetta. Claude abruptly leaves the room, leaving me with my fragmented thoughts. Chapter 9. You know, do we want to call it early and start Chapter 9 next week? Because this is kind of like a good stopping point, and like I said, we had like 15 minutes anyway. I don't want to keep going and then not find a good stopping point again. Yeah, we'll stop here. But it's going well so far. I think there's 10 chapters per character, so we're almost done with Karma. I think we'll be able to finish this neutral path next week. So let me know if you want to keep doing Karma's story and get both the good ending and bad ending before we move on to the next person, or are you wanting to go through everyone's like neutral path, play a different game, and then come back and play the good and bad endings for people a different day or a different time? Because we could do that too. This does seem like it's going to be a very long stream. Or a long game. Or we can always finish Karma's story, play a different game, and then come back to work on someone else. Either way, what do you want to do once we finish Karma's story? Let me know down below, or if you want, you can follow me on Twitter or Blue Sky and let me know there. I mean, that, like I said, that's not, we have 2 more chapters, so it's not like we're gonna finish it today. Obviously not today. But it matters how long these last 2 chapters are, but we might not even finish it next week. But either way, have a good rest of your day. I will see you Tuesday. I shouldn't have anything that will interfere. So I will see you Tuesday around lunchtime, like I normally stream. But have a good rest of your day. Bye.